Let's talk about some leaks. They happen every year, and no, I'm not talking about calling your local plumber and fixing that leaky bathroom faucet.
Have you called a plumber to your home lately?
I'm of course talking about the many conspiracies about where the game is going. So with this video, we're going to be going over a handful of leaks that I found scouring across the internet over the last couple of weeks. This video is supposed to be entertaining and just kind of like a fun thing to go over these kind of crazy leaks. And obviously I really feel like I shouldn't have to state this, but I know if I don't, someone's going to try to accuse me of trying to play up these leaks as making them true, which I'm not. At the end of the day, it's going to be up to you to decide if you think that these rumors or leaks are true or not. And one last thing, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get started. So for our first leak, we're going to be talking about this screenshot here. This appears to be some kind of screenshot from what looks like to be a possible cinematic for the expansion. What's really interesting about this screenshot here is not the dude in the very front who looks like he possibly could be some kind of Drogbar or maybe some kind of like demonic orc, but is actually the guy in the back here. He looks very similar to what Eridicron might look like in a cinematic version. And obviously, I feel like the thing that kind of gives this one away here is those two just very iconic kind of pointy horns that he has. And with the fact that, you know, Eridicron is a dragon that has the power of the elements of earth and things like that, the idea that a Drogbar here is fighting for him kind of makes sense, because obviously Drogbar, you know, they live under the ground and in caves and all that stuff. And one of the main reasons why I feel like this actually might be a legit leak is because if you look back at the previous expansions, we always had some kind of leak of the cinematics, very similar to how this one was. And if this one is true, I kind of wonder what the cinematic is going to be like. Obviously, the Drogbar is getting ready to fight somebody, so the cinematic will more than likely have some action in it. I'm just kind of curious to see what this Drogbar is looking at. My guess is that it's probably going to be a fight between him and Thrall. I feel like Thrall is definitely going to be a main character for this next expansion, but either way, we'll just have to wait and see at BlizzCon.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
This next leak we're going to be talking about is one that I think has probably gotten the most coverage online. It's the one that actually Asmongold covered, and I really wanted to cover this one too because I feel like if there's a leak out there, I definitely would love to see this one happen. So let's take a look at it. So this one originated on 4chan, and this one is the expansion. It says World of Warcraft Awakening. First Classic Plus expansion. It's going to be $50. The whole idea is a what if the Dark Portal didn't open after Vanilla. Chris Messon is the main head behind this project. They're going to be reusing old assets from BC, Wrath, and Cataclysm to maintain that visual aspect of the classic era realms. There will be new models that are going to be in this game, and they're going to be basically looking at the reawakened Phase Hunter mount as inspiration for what these new character models will look like. The level cap will be increased to 70, and without new continents, there's going to be some new zones with the Hyjal and Emerald Dream being the new zones. The idea here is to finish out the various vanilla quest lines that were lost in time with the arrival of the Burning Crusade. High Elves and Ogres are going to be the new races, respectively, for the Alliance and the Horde, and the first raid tier will be against the Scourge. Cataclysm Classic will also happen after Wrath. And then the author at the end here leaves a cheeky comment saying, "You consider me a LARPer, see you on November 3rd. This one to me just kind of gives off a just too good to be true vibe. I really love the ideas that this person kind of made up with this leak here. Obviously, I love the idea of Classic Plus. I feel like Classic Plus is definitely the way that Blizzard needs to go with Classic WoW. And for me, the one thing that kind of tells that this is definitely not real is that last line there saying Cataclysm Classic will happen after Wrath. I feel like the author just threw that one in there to kind of, you know, make it seem more appealing. Obviously, I feel like everyone knows Cataclysm Classic is going to happen. Blizzard put out that survey months ago where they basically were asking people, you know, which features from Cataclysm basically they thought kind of ruined the game. And Blizzard only really does things like that if they're testing the waters. So on a scale of is this happening or not, yeah, definitely not.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it.
Our next leak is just another kind of overall expansion themed leak, and this one is called World of Warcraft Voidstorm. The idea behind this one is that Queen Azshara has unleashed a Voidstorm, and we're going to have to team up with Thrall and the Earthen Ring to stop her. We're going to be traveling down into the core of the planet itself, and apparently Azeroth herself is going to wake up from her slumber. So the zones that we're going to be going here are going to be the Undermine, which is a large subterranean zone that we're going to be accessing by sailing to Kezan. Tel El Abraham, which is a tropical island filled with sandy beaches and lush jungles. and you'll find it down into the south. And while it does look idyllic, the island hides dark secrets within and bananas. Hyale is another name for the Plunder Isle, and that's basically the stronghold of the Bloodsail Buccaneers, so lots of pirate-themed stuff here. And then there's going to be a quote-unquote unnamed water zone, which is going to be, just like Vajir, going underwater, things like that. And apparently, I think there was mention that we're going to be getting some kind of like dragon riding-esque themed mount for this. Either way, it'll be interesting. We'll also be visiting Koresh, which was the old homeworld of the Ethereals. And then lastly, we're going to be getting some unnamed islands, which are basically going to be procedurally generated, and they're going to be some kind of endgame system. The main gameplay features of this expansion is going to be dragon riding, which will be apparently be able to use them both in air and underwater, while I don't really understand how the underwater part will work. As mentioned, we'll be exploring a bunch of different islands, and apparently we'll be having our own ship, so that's pretty cool. 2 new playable races, one will be a underwater species, and then the other is going to be ethereals. Lots of content will be account-wide from the beginning, and then also they say that there's not going to be any new classes or specializations, but we're going to be getting some kind of glyph that will basically alter the appearance of our spells. And then lastly, the focus here is that when it comes to the campaign, it's going to have a heavy focus with Thrall, so that's pretty cool. So in my opinion, while this leak has a ton of features listed here, I will say the one thing that I would take out of this whole thing to be plausible is definitely the whole idea of Thrall playing a key role in this expansion coming up. I mean, if you look at the key art for BlizzCon this year, he is like a major role, so definitely going to be playing a big part. But other than Thrall, when you look at the rest of the expansion,
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication. It never happened.
And then the last one I wanted to talk about is another one that I found off of MMO Champion, and this one's pretty out there, but I still think it's pretty entertaining to read. So the author here is basically stating that they know someone that works at the office, and he says, first off, the pirate stuff is just from Pirate Day being this month. It's not related to the expansion, it's just a coincidence, and my insider says people in the office are talking like pirates while referring to patch 10.0 and joking about it. There are a few pirate mobs, but they're just for some questing objectives. Metzen does a great pirate accent and voice. Yubara and Ian loses their shit while laughing. In reality, they just want to make the game holidays reflect more in the world. There's going to be 6 zones. One is where Uldaz is, and there's a large magical barrier, similar to how the barrier from Dalaran was in classic WoW. That's blocking players from entering it until the campaign gets completed. He didn't have any names of the different zones, but there's going to be some big biomes. One of these new biomes is going to be very similar to how Zangarlar Marsh is, just a giant mushroom forest. Apparently there's going to be a bunch of like these kind of like hostile dwarven city and outposts, very similar to how the capital of Suramar was. He mentions that they definitely want to do player housing, but they don't think that they're ready for it, and that the world revamp is going to be more towards their goal. They're also planning to add some more kind of like evergreen features, very similar to how the trading post was, but they're trying to like basically top that and make some really good content. However, he says here that they haven't gotten anything down like concrete yet. So yeah, there is another really interesting sounding leak there.
We got you. Not a chance.
And I think that's a good place for us to end the video. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'm still Solo, and I'll see you guys next time.